Hello, I'm Tony Vlahos for ExecuNet. Thanks as always for tuning in. 2021 may bring some normalcy back to the workplace, but some things are going to stick. Some changes are going to be around for a while, right? For example, the way you'll find your next job. Joining me today to share his thoughts on how to conduct a job search and find the best talent in 2021 is Aaron Stewart. Aaron is a global keynote speaker and the co-founder of blockchain recruitment platform Job.com. Aaron, it's good to talk to you.
Tony, thank you very much for having me on the show, and pleasure to be here. Yes, and I've been in this industry my whole career, and I'm really excited to kind of give some perspective today.
Well, I look forward to that. We'll talk about Job.com as well, of course. So first question, Aaron, what is it like out there right now for job seekers? What are you and your team seeing?
So it is based on geographies and sectors. So there are some sectors that have been deeply affected by the coronavirus and basically last year's pandemic into this year. And so if you look at things like hospitality, for example, the travel industry, those industries have been so affected that it's caused the labor force in those markets to kind of regroup and rethink the market, the industries that they're working in. A lot of people are now looking at reskilling, or at least transferable skills, which is very much an important thing that recruiters are looking for now. Transferable skills from one industry to another, because thus far those industries, they're not looking at any form of recovery in the near future. Whereas conversely, you've got technology, logistics, and the healthcare industry, which, as you can imagine, are booming, and they offer a great sort of, I guess, in some respects, beacon of hope for those other industries where they've suffered greatly. And I think that if you're a job seeker in the market right now, depending on where you sit within it, you're either faced with trying to broaden your horizons to look at new pastures, new opportunities to suffice you through this period of time, or if you're currently operating in a sector that's booming, it's why the sun shines make hay, as they say, and it's there's actually it's actually far more positive out there in the market than maybe people would first initially feel.
So from your perspective, Aaron, how will finding a job, especially at the senior executive level, which is our audience here at ExecuNet, how will that be different in 2021 from your perspective?
So I think, if you're an executive level, I think the most important and still very relevant is network, okay, is pulling on your network. If you're in an industry as an executive that has suffered due to coronavirus and the pandemic, then to reach within your network is still probably the most effective way to find yourself new opportunities. It's difficult, like running through the traditional job seeking avenues and approach. And maybe you might be on multiple job boards. You might have open to work out on LinkedIn. You might be running all of the various online, platforms that you possibly can. But my humble opinion is that as an executive, network is the most effective way to secure your self-employment, even in industries that maybe you're not traditionally operating in. Because, again, executives develop a set of skills that aren't just necessarily honed in on the silo that they've worked in. They are most certainly transferable skills. These are, highly educated and highly experienced individuals that have the ability to be dynamic and adapt. And that's what you've got to do as an individual. You've got to be dynamic and adapt to the environment around you. And, it might be a first or second level connection, but start reaching out to industries that are growing, where your skills would be invaluable.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And still, there are so many people at the senior levels who spend a lot of time looking at positions online at the job boards. What's their role, in your opinion, in an executive level search?
So I think it's, look, job boards, depending on which particular ones you're looking at, some are going to be, or online platforms, should I say, are going to be more effective than others. For an executive, for me, it's all about LinkedIn. Okay. I say that as the owner and founder of Job.com, but LinkedIn most certainly is the place, the home for executives. I think also building relationships with executive headhunters is also a great way of putting yourself out there outside of maybe visiting your traditional Indeeds, Monsters, Career Builders, because you're going to get lost in a tidal wave of labor, which is currently out there in the market. And hirers are overwhelmed because of obviously, you know, the kind of backlash of the pandemic. I think that spreading yourself on LinkedIn and talking to executive headhunters that are on LinkedIn themselves and building, again, relationships and networks, I think is the most appropriate and most effective way for an executive to navigate themselves through the job seeking process online.
Mm-hmm. So when we think about executive search, Aaron, we think about networking, of course. We think about building relationships with recruiters. You've covered the angles around LinkedIn. There's a whole other hour we could devote to it. What other avenues would you recommend someone at the senior level who's in search or thinking about it begin to accelerate in 2021 so they can get where they want to go faster this year?
I think that outside of networks, what do I think is the most effective? I think in some respects, we need to look at how we utilize technology effectively. Okay, so let's talk about that, because I've kind of, you know, gone straight for the jugular and said, right, network's the best way to go for executives. But let's say you are trying to utilize technology as well. You need to look at the way your resume and career history is written. Pretty much most platforms now work on what's called transactional artificial intelligence for matching, right? Some even use predictive, but we'll stick with the transactional. The way that you write a resume to be read by a human and for them to say yay or nay is not actually the way that artificial intelligence will shortlist you. And it's always very tempting as an executive to write a very long career history of how much you've done during your tenure. That actually doesn't serve you very well when it comes to shortlisting through artificial intelligence, because it dilutes the concentration of your experience when it comes to matching. So my advice would be to accelerate your process online and to speed up your opportunity of getting in front of hirers and hiring managers and recruiters is concentrate your resume content for the last 5, maximum 10 years, and also write things with aspirational language. Look for aspirational language within the resume and make it dense within that, so that you are carefully shortlisted by technology to be put in front of the right hiring managers and recruiters you want to get in front of. A lot of people write it in a way of, I'm going to talk about all the experience I've got, I'm going to talk about everything I'm doing right now, everything I've done so far, and then actually the job that you applied for is more aspiration into the future, might be a sidestep into another industry, and you're just not going to shortlist for that. And if there was a human with some common sense reading it, which is the bit that gets missed, you know, during the shortlist process, it might work that way. You know, AI is doing that job as the first screen. So if you want to accelerate your opportunities and getting in front of the right person to then eventually pitch yourself in an interview, you need to think about the way that you're writing your resume as the absolute most important thing.
Terrific. Now let's talk about Job.com. I don't know to what degree my senior level audience knows about Job.com, but let's pretend you met 1 or a million of them in the bar. It's quite a large bar.
Great
what
bar.
What would you tell them about it? What would you like them to know about it that could make a difference in their search?
So, you know, Job.com describes itself as a data-driven digital staffing agency. We actually take a candidate from the moment they apply all the way to a successful hire, which is not akin to a job board, where a job board is like the auto trader of jobs, right? You know, you put an advert on, response comes through, hopefully I hire someone. We actually have a fully automated system utilizing artificial intelligence and blockchain technology to take you through the entire hiring process. The first question I get asked all the time is, I've heard about blockchain technology. Why does blockchain technology matter? We actually use blockchain technology to do the validation and verification of someone's career history and data and all of their background. The reason we do that is, and this is a statistic you can Google, 85% of candidates lie during the hiring process. 46% of them fail in the first 18 months, and the average cost of failure is 33% of their annual salary. So the real victim during that process, when people maybe tell a fib in their resume or within their hiring process to get the job, is the person that didn't get the job who was most suitable. So we utilize technology to remove things like that. That's the reason for blockchain, an irrefutable ledger that, you know, can't be corrupted. And once you've put that information, it's been validated, it's crystallized. We also, if you're successfully placed through Job.com, give a percentage of the fee that we charge as a salary signing reward to the person who got the job. The reason we do that is, and especially I'm sure executives will be nice to hear it, you're the ones with all the skills, education, experience. You apply for the job, you ace the interview, you should take some of the economic benefit that we gained from your efforts and endeavors for getting that job, which is always a nice, I guess, kind of, you know, incentive for anyone to use Job.com. You know, we work with thousands of employers, actually, I'm delighted to say. And we effectively fit generically. Our sort of salary range is between $60,000 to $250,000. That's where we sit. We're not really in the kind of blue collar space. We're very much a white collar focused platform. You know, anyone that's listening that we could be a service of to help you on your job seeking endeavors, we'd love to do that. Job.com's kind of mission and ethos is that we want to help as many people feed their families and pay their bills as possible. That's our sole mission.
That is a wonderful mission, and it's a terribly exciting space to be in. So with that, Aaron Stewart, thank you for your time and your insight. And I look forward to following the path of Job.com and yours for the coming year. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Tony. It's been a real pleasure being on the show.
You're so welcome.